Zeno of Citium was a powerful figure, but nothing he wrote has survived to the present day. He was one of the most respected teachers in Athens around 300 BC. His claim to fame is that he developed Stoicism, a philosophical school primarily concerned with how we should live. As a result, our interpretation of his Stoic philosophy is based on second-hand information. Although the philosophy evolved over time, with common interpretations from great Romans such as Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, much of it was built on Zeno's foundations. He categorized his thinking into three categories: logic, which he defined as the study of things like intelligence, perception, and thought; physics, which he defined as his approach to nature and science; and ethics, which he defined as the everyday conduct of living and being. However, he was most interested in ethics out of the three groups, seeing the other two as means, a structure to help and carry his conclusions. Zeno's theories were based on older Cynic methodologies and Socratic thought, but rather than favoring one over the other, he mixed and balanced as he saw fit. Naturally, there is some debate about the specifics of Zeno's method and the finer points of his strategy, but we can paint a reasonably accurate picture in broad strokes. It's all too tempting to get wrapped up in the deeper complexities of reality, and in the process, we fail to pay attention to what it means to live on a daily basis. The Stoics, such as Zeno, demonstrated how we can bridge this divide. Live in accordance with our nature. Science is currently studying the natural world and attempting to pinpoint it as either a way to other ends, such as monitoring and predicting our surroundings, or simply as a valuable item in and of itself. These explanations may be adequate in a Stoic worldview and can be integrated into a larger context, but they fall short of the primary reason for researching nature and its phenomena to better understand ourselves and how our individual behaviors fit into the cosmic dance. We have elements of nature ingrained in us as evolutionarily evolved beings. Change and peace, rivalry and collaboration, pursuits and comforts are all inclinations we have. Of course, some traits have a stronger pull on some people than others, and many of these traits are raw and based on emotion while we are young, but when we grow older and gain knowledge, we can use reason to step away from instinct and toward an understanding that is in line with reality. If we follow this rational course, we are always left with core motivations that push us to fulfill our passions, core motivations that move us to care about others around us, and core motivations to conquer the various obstacles that life throws at us. The important thing to remember here is that the Stoics were opposed to blind romanticism, in which our actions are driven by our emotions and pleasures. No, Zeno taught that the only way to harmonize with the world is to use experience and then refine it with reason, and that is what we should follow. If a certain level of sophistication has been achieved, the pull acts like a compass, which we cannot resist if it is asking us to go in the opposite direction while we are stuck. At any given time in our lives, there is a larger wave circling our bodies that shapes many of our characteristics, and it is up to us to ride this wave while still allowing it to pass through us. Consider virtue to be the source of all good. We are free of all but one of the uncertainties we are likely to face until we have a good understanding of our relationship to both our nature and the larger natural world. This takes us to the Stoic ethics, which is at the heart of their worldview. After all, none of this matters unless we change our attitudes, conducts, and ways of being in some way. Although using reason and experience to align ourselves with our surroundings is a good start, it is far from sufficient. There will also be disputes, especially those that question us and place undue burden on our own personal experience due to the larger nature. There is obviously a tension when we are injured, when reality fails to fulfill our standards, or when we lose those we care for, and resolving it is difficult. In this case, Zeno will argue that every action or behavior is correct if it is actually nice. What exactly does he mean by good? Well, something is nice if it is virtuous. When you use justification to change what you can manage, which is your reaction, while letting go of what you can't, which is a problem. Since virtue is born inside you, not in the outside world, when you place virtue at the forefront as the most important goal to pursue, you take full responsibility for how you perceive life. If something isn't right, it's because the responsibilities aren't up to par. It may be true that people treat you unfairly, that it wasn't your fault, or that life is difficult in general, but once a non-reversible situation has happened, you can either combat it or harmonize with it. And if you can't change the universe, the only way to live in harmony with it is to change your response. To build goodness by doing the right thing. The positive your reaction, the more noble you are and the more good you bring into the world. Get a worldview that is neutral. The significance of handling our internal truth is highlighted by virtue. What is good and true comes from looking inward. That's well, but what about the rest of the world? What is the point in worrying for something in the world around us if the only source of goodness is the part of us in charge of controlling our response to outside events? This is the point at which Zeno and his followers split from the Cynics, a separate group of thinkers on whom Zeno based his ideas. The Cynics believed that the outside world had no impact on their lives. You were perfect as long as you had your inner world in place. The Stoics, on the other hand, argued that it does. The things we interact with and live with do not have intrinsic positive or negative values, but they play an important role in our lives. In the outside world, everything is neutral. It is neither good nor bad in and of itself. That being said, how our internal virtue and goodness communicates with the world matters. It's preferable, for example, to prevent illness by being careful, rather than to stroll into it. Striking for health, prosperity, and culture, things that help to keep us alive, is normal and preferable, as long as we don't mistake them for the root of our virtue and goodness. Not engaging with this universe of external objects, after we have refined our inherent purpose and pursued the core motives that it has imbued in us, would be an act against the harmony. It would be establishing a dispute where none would otherwise exist. Many Stoics after Zeno had a different relationship with the external world and its demands, arguing for things like responsibility, but they all accepted that it plays an important role. What you need to know. It's a straightforward concept: take care of what you can and let go of what you can't. But it takes more than just saying it and believing it to put it into practice in day-to-day life. The first Stoic, Zeno of Citium, may not have left us with a completely simple method to research, but there is enough there to lead us to our own variations of the structure. We may use different terms to describe it, but something akin to virtue exists in all of our mental models of existence. Our task is to simply recall what we already know and put it to good use in order to develop mental toughness. Being Stoic is a way of life as much as it is a way of being resilient and solid. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and comment if you've enjoyed the video. Also, consider subscribing to my channel and click on the bell icon to get notified when I upload the next video.